Hello everyone, Joel here. You ever boot up an RPG and think, yeah, I'll knock this out over the weekend? And then suddenly, it's 3 months later, you've put in 200 hours, your plans are dead, your friends have forgotten your name, and you're still in the second act. But here's the thing, not every RPG wants to consume your entire soul like some kind of legally distinct gacha game. Some of them are short, like, I can finish this and still have time to pretend I have a social life short. So today, we're counting down 10 absolute masterpiece RPGs that you can beat in under 20 hours. Quality storytelling, banging gameplay, and no multi-year commitment required. Think of it as a one-night stand, but with good writing and a satisfying ending.
Raise their children. It's none of your or anyone's business.
Before we continue the video, I want to inform you that right now, there are tons of crazy deals in instant gaming, especially if you love RPG games. Remember how expensive modern gaming lately? Well, not anymore, since you can get so many amazing titles with crazy discounts in instant gaming. Can you believe that just with $10 or even less than $5, you can enjoy one of the best gaming experiences in your life? Just look at these titles. It used to cost like $30 or even more than $40. And to make things even crazier, some games even drop so far to just $1. If you're a smart guy, you know what you have to do. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games, and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list.
But above all else, the word...
Starting off at number 10, we've got another crab's treasure. And yes, before you ask, this is a game where you play as a little hermit crab doing a Souls-like. So the whole setup is this. You're a tiny crab who just got his shell repossessed, yes, economically, and you have to go get it back. What follows is one of the most unexpectedly sharp environmental commentaries in recent gaming history, wrapped inside a game where you bash enemies with a fork, a bottle cap, or a literal tin can as your armor. The ocean is covered in human trash. That's not just aesthetic, that's the point. This game has more to say about pollution than half the documentaries on Netflix, and it does it through a crustacean named Krill. Gameplay-wise, it's a Souls-like that actually gives a damn about accessibility. There's an assist mode with a literal one-shot everything gun if you just want the story, the combat is snappy, the humor is genuinely funny, and the bosses are creative as hell. The whole thing wraps up between 12 to 16 hours for most players, and it feels complete. Not rushed, not padded, like a perfect episode of something you wish had more seasons. It's charming, it's clever, and it's probably the best game where you wear garbage as a metaphor for capitalism. South Park: The Stick of Truth is a game that proved once and for all that a licensed game based on a TV show could actually be good. The whole premise is you're the new kid, fresh to South Park, and you get immediately sucked into an epic fantasy LARP war between Cartman's humans and Kyle's elves over a magical stick. What makes this game special is that Matt Stone and Trey Parker basically made a 12-hour South Park episode that you play through. Every single bit of writing is on point. Every character sounds, looks, and acts exactly like they do in the show. You will laugh, you will be deeply uncomfortable, you will laugh while being uncomfortable, and then you'll fight a Nazi zombie fetus in a secret government lab, and you'll just kind of accept that this is your life now. The turn-based combat is simple but satisfying. It's basically Paper Mario if Paper Mario had an episode where Cartman tried to take over the world with his own race of people. Story-wise, this game clocks in at around 12 to 15 hours, and every single one of those hours has something completely unhinged happening. Alien anal probes, Canadian border guards, a gnome that gets up to things that we absolutely cannot describe in a PG-friendly way. You know what? The whole game is not PG-friendly. If you grew up watching South Park, this is the ultimate fan experience. Number 8 brings us something a little more underground, Esoteric Ebb. Now, if you haven't heard of this one, that's kind of the point. This is the game your indie-obsessed friend keeps bringing up at parties, and they're absolutely right to be insufferable about it. Esoteric Ebb is a retro-style RPG dripping with atmosphere. We're talking dark academia energy, cryptic lore, and a magic system that actually rewards you for paying attention to the world around you. You know how most RPGs give you abilities through a level-up screen you click through at 2 a.m. while barely conscious? Yeah, not here. Here, you discover spells by reading in-world text, talking to the right NPCs, and genuinely poking around in corners most players miss. It's the kind of game that makes you feel genuinely clever, which, let's be honest, is a rare and precious feeling. The story follows your character uncovering a buried supernatural mystery in a decaying academic institution. Think Hogwarts, but if Hogwarts had budget cuts, a dark secret, and a lot more existential dread. The writing is dense in the best possible way, the kind where you stop and actually read item descriptions because they're worth reading. The whole experience comes in right under 15 hours, but here's the thing, it's built for replays. The choices you make fundamentally alter what you understand about the world, and the second playthrough hits totally different once you realize what was actually going on the whole time. Now, we're getting poetic at number 7. Child of Light is genuinely, unironically beautiful. We're talking hand-painted watercolor visuals, a fully orchestrated score, and this is real. All the dialogue is written in rhyming verse, like an entire fairy tale brought to life, except you also fight shadow monsters with a turn-based combat system and a flying firefly companion named Igniculus, who is honestly a better best friend than most people in real life. You play as Aurora, a young girl who falls into a magical kingdom called Lemuria after falling ill in 1895 Austria, because that's just a Tuesday in RPGs apparently. The world is gorgeous, the tone is melancholic and hopeful at the same time, and the whole thing has this gentle, dreamlike quality that makes you feel like you're playing inside a bedtime story written by someone way more talented than your parents. The combat is an active wait system. Simple enough to be accessible, deep enough to be engaging. Positioning your Firefly companion to slow enemies adds a layer of real-time strategy that keeps fights feeling alive without making your brain melt. Story completion sits around 10 to 14 hours, which is honestly perfect. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like that one guest at a dinner party who shows up, is absolutely charming the whole evening, tells a great story, and then leaves before things get weird. Child of Light is that guest. If you thought the world was already a dumpster fire, let me introduce you to Olathi. Lisa the Painful is a side-scrolling RPG set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where women have gone extinct. It's basically a sausage party, where everyone is depressed, addicted to a drug called joy, and looking for a reason to kick your teeth in. The selling point here is that the game is a literal sadist. It will force you to make choices that actually hurt. Want to save your friend? Cool, give up your arm, literally. Your character loses an arm and your stats permanently drop. It's the only game that treats the player like a submissive in a very toxic relationship. But despite the soul-crushing misery, it is unbelievably funny. You'll be fighting a guy wearing a shopping cart as armor 1 minute and sobbing over a broken relationship the next. The combat is timing-based and punchy, and the music sounds like a fever dream in a laundromat. At about 12 to 15 hours, it's a short, traumatic masterpiece that will leave you feeling like you need a shower and a hug. It's brilliant, it's offensive, and it's the best time you'll ever have, feeling absolutely terrible about yourself. Halfway through, and we are not slowing down. Number 5 is Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. Based on the board game series of the same name, Tainted Grail is a dark, gritty, first-person RPG set in a dying version of Arthurian legend. Think King Arthur, except everything has gone horrifically wrong. Avalon is rotting, the world is covered in a creeping magical darkness called the Weird, and the Knights of the Round Table are dead. And you're some poor idiot who has to stumble through all of it. The tone here is properly bleak. like HBO After Dark level bleak. This isn't your childhood fairy tale. Characters die, choices haunt you, and the world has weight. And somehow all of that darkness makes the moments of hope feel genuinely meaningful rather than just narratively convenient. First-person RPG combat is responsive and skill-based. The build variety is also very solid, and the world is dense with lore that rewards exploration without punishing you for ignoring it. What's particularly impressive is the narrative scope. For a game built by a relatively small studio, the world building is legitimately impressive. You will find journals, ruins, and dying NPCs who each add another layer to an already rich world, and none of it feels like filler. The main story can be completed in 15 to 18 hours, though completionists will push past 20. But even a straight-shot playthrough feels satisfyingly full if you're the kind of person who appreciates dark fantasy with actual craft behind it. Tainted Grail deserves a spot on your shelf and several hours of your life. If you've played Undertale, you already know what I'm about to say. Undertale is a 2015 indie RPG made almost entirely by one guy, Toby Fox, and it is, without exaggeration, one of the most emotionally devastating pieces of interactive media ever created, and it looks like a game from 1995 made on a school computer. The premise sounds simple. Kid falls into an underground world full of monsters and has to find their way home. Standard stuff, right? Except you don't have to hurt anyone. You can complete the entire game without a single kill. Every enemy has a resolution. Every character has a story. The game knows you're playing it and reacts accordingly. The combat is part bullet hell minigame, part puzzle, and entirely unlike anything else. The music is iconic. Megalovania has been memed into the stratosphere, but it's still an absolute banger in context. The characters are so well written that people are still making fan content about them a decade later. You can finish the main story in 6 to 8 hours, which is almost offensively short for how much it will wreck you emotionally. The true pacifist route is closer to 10. The genocide route is shorter and will make you feel genuinely bad about yourself, which again is intentional. Toby Fox designed that on purpose. Absolute psychopath in the most complimentary way possible.
I have seen the gates of Oblivion.
Oblivion is a game you could spend 500 hours in. It has guilds, side quests, open world exploration, a whole Shivering Isles DLC that's better than most full games, and more dungeons than you can shake a Daedric artifact at. I'm not claiming you'll finish Oblivion in 20 hours. The universe will have ended before you finish Oblivion. But the main quest, the actual central story of closing the Oblivion gates and stopping Mehrunes Dagon from literally ending the world, that's about 12 to 15 hours if you stay focused. And that main quest is genuinely excellent. Patrick Stewart and Sean Bean in the same game. Oblivion gates that feel genuinely ominous, and Martin Septim's arc wrapping up in one of the most cinematic endings in Elder Scrolls history. The remaster by Virtuos cranked everything up to modern visual standards while keeping the same janky, beautiful, why is this guard sliding across the floor energy that we love in 2006. Oblivion is a case study in how a world can be so dense with possibility that just doing the main story feels like a vacation inside it. A complete, satisfying experience that doesn't require you to max every skill or join every faction. You can save the world and walk away. The Shivering Isles is right there though, and Sheogorath is literally the best character in RPG history. So good luck with that whole under 20 hours thing. We are almost at the top, and number 2 is where we get sophisticated. Crack open a drink, sit down, and let's talk about Disco Elysium, the game where you play as a detective who woke up with no memory, no pants, and a deeply complicated relationship with the ceiling fan. Disco Elysium is unlike anything else on this list. There's almost no combat. You don't level up by punching things, you level up by thinking. Your stats are literally different parts of your psyche: empathy, logic, inland empire, electrochemistry, and many more. Every check you make in the world is a dice roll that your own fragmented personality argues about in real time. It is the most genuinely intellectual RPG ever made, and also one where you can try to retrieve your jacket from a ceiling fan and fail and fall down. The world is post-revolutionary Revachol, a city caught between ideologies decaying beautifully, full of people with fully realized inner lives and complicated politics. The writing is legitimately some of the best in any medium. I'm not saying best video game writing. I mean best writing, period. The kind where you read a dialogue option you didn't pick and feel genuine regret. The final cut added full voice acting to every single character, which elevated an already incredible experience into something genuinely cinematic. The main story clocks in at 15 to 20 hours, with heavy side content pushing to 30 plus. But a focused playthrough is completely satisfying, and the ending hits like you weren't expecting it to.
The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinez, with directions to appropriately touristy locations. Year 48.
And here we are at number 1, the game that made the whole internet collectively lose their minds in 2025, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. A French indie studio, Sandfall Interactive, making their debut title, created what is, by almost universal consensus, one of the best games in years. Not best JRPGs, not best Western RPGs, just best. The premise is achingly beautiful and achingly bleak. Every year, a being called the Paintress wakes up, writes a number on her monolith, and everyone in the world aged that number disappears. This year, she wrote 33. You are part of Expedition 33, marching toward her tower to kill her before the number gets lower. The world is visually stunning, like if you fused Belle Epoque France with a surrealist painting and then someone's grief. The art direction is singular. You will screenshot this game constantly and then feel embarrassed by how many screenshots you have. The turn-based combat is the best in recent memory. Active timing mechanics make every action feel physical and engaged. You're not just selecting attack from a menu and waiting. You're parrying, timing counters, chaining abilities, and the whole thing has an almost rhythmic quality that makes getting into a flow state genuinely euphoric. The story is devastating, the kind of narrative that builds slowly and then absolutely flattens you in the third act. The main story runs about 25 to 35 hours for most, which yes is technically over our limit for a completionist run, but the critical path for story beats can be done in under 20 with focus. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the kind of debut that makes you angry at every veteran studio that's been phoning it in. It's a love letter to the JRPG genre, to French aesthetics, to grief, to hope, and to the stubborn human refusal to accept the end.
I'll manage.
Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!